The invasion announcement. Emerges empire. The Galactic Dominion had ruled the stars for thousands of years. It was an empire of war, built on conquest. No species had ever resisted them. No planet had ever survived their attacks. Their fleets moved through space like hungry beasts, devouring every world in their path. Planet after planet fell. Civilizations that had once thrived for centuries were now nothing but dust. But today, the Dominion had a new target, a small blue planet at the edge of their maps, a world called Earth. Supreme Commander Zorvek sat on his throne aboard the flagship Doombringer. He was a towering figure, covered in black armor, his glowing red eyes staring at the holographic image of Earth. "This planet is weak," he said, his voice cold. "Its people are divided. Their weapons are primitive. This will be the easiest victory in Dominion history." His war generals nodded. One of them, General Volker, stepped forward. "Their technology is far behind ours, Supreme Commander. Our fleet will reach their planet in one cycle. Their defenses will fall within hours." Zorvek smiled. "Then let us not waste time." He pressed a button on his command console. A message, broadcasted across the entire Earth, was sent in every human language. The message was simple. "People of Earth, you are now subjects of the Galactic Dominion. Surrender immediately or face total destruction. You have 1 hour to comply." On Earth, chaos erupted. Governments scrambled. News stations spread the message worldwide. Social media exploded with reactions. Some people panicked, believing the end was near. Others refused to believe it was real. But then, something unexpected happened. Humans laughed. At first, it started small, on a few internet forums, in some private messages. But within minutes, the laughter spread like wildfire. Memes appeared. Jokes were shared. Late-night comedians made fun of the so-called alien invaders. People called the Galactic Dominion a bad sci-fi movie villain. Some countries even ignored the message completely, treating it like a prank. In space, aboard the Doombringer, Supreme Commander Zorvek was furious. He expected fear. He expected begging. He expected humans to surrender instantly. But instead, they were mocking him. He turned to his generals. "What is this? Why are they not afraid?" General Volker checked the Earth's digital networks. His screen filled with thousands of human jokes, memes, and videos. He blinked in confusion. "Supreme Commander, they are laughing at us." Zorvek slammed his fist on the table. "This is an insult. They dare mock the Dominion." Another officer spoke. "Supreme Commander, should we destroy one of their cities to make them take us seriously?" Zorvek took a deep breath. No, not yet. He had conquered many planets before. Fear was always the first step. If humans did not fear them yet, he would show them true power. "Prepare the fleet," he commanded. "Let us remind these humans why no one defies the Dominion." Outside the ship, thousands of Dominion warships moved into position. The invasion of Earth had begun. But the humans, they still weren't scared. They just laughed, louder, and that made Zorvek even more furious. The first attack, and humanity's indifference. The Galactic Dominion was used to fear. Every world they conquered had fallen the same way, first with terror, then with surrender. But Earth was different. Supreme Commander Zorvek stood on the command bridge of the Doombringer, watching the planet below. It looked so small, so fragile, floating in space. He clenched his fists. "They mock us," he growled. "They refuse to surrender. Let's see if they laugh when their cities burn." His officers nodded. "Target one of their major cities," ordered General Volker. "A warning strike. Show them our power." A fleet of Dominion warships moved into position. Their weapons locked onto Earth. In seconds, a powerful energy blast shot down toward the planet. The target, New York City. The aliens expected screams. They expected chaos. But what they got was something else entirely. The unexpected response. As the energy blast reached the Earth's atmosphere, something strange happened. The beam vanished. It was as if the sky itself had swallowed it. No explosion, no destruction, nothing. Zorvek's eyes widened. What happened? Where is the explosion? A Dominion scientist checked his readings. Supreme Commander, Earth's atmosphere just neutralized our weapon. Silence filled the bridge. Impossible, Zorvek said. No species has ever resisted our technology. Then, something even stranger happened. A human broadcast appeared on their communication screens. A man in a suit and sunglasses appeared, drinking coffee. He was smiling. "Nice try, guys," he said, grinning at the camera. "But we've seen better." The entire Dominion command froze. They understood the human words, but not the tone. "Are they mocking us?" Volker asked, confused. Zorvek slammed his fist on the control panel. "Fire again," he roared. The Dominion unleashed another barrage. 3 energy beams, aimed at different cities. Once again, nothing happened. The humans didn't even bother to react. In fact, on Earth, people started cheering. Memes flooded the internet. Alien attack. More like alien Wi-Fi lag. Worst invasion attempt ever. Is this a joke? Even my grandma hits harder. Zorvek's rage boiled over. These fools. They think we are weak. But deep inside, he felt something new, something unsettling. For the first time, the Dominion was unsure. And Earth still wasn't afraid. The Dominion's shock. Earth is not what they expected. The command bridge of the Doombringer was silent. Supreme Commander Zorvek stood frozen, his glowing red eyes locked onto the screen. His warships had just launched 3 direct attacks on Earth's cities. And nothing happened. No explosions, no destruction, not even a scratch. Zorvek's claws tightened into a fist. "I demand an explanation," he roared. A Dominion scientist nervously stepped forward. His scales trembled as he read the data on his holoscreen. "Supreme Commander, our energy weapons were neutralized before impact." Zorvek narrowed his eyes. "How?" The scientist gulped. "Earth's defenses. They are far more advanced than we estimated. Their atmosphere is layered with some kind of invisible shield. Our weapons can't penetrate it." A deep growl filled the room. The Dominion was one of the most advanced empires in the galaxy. And yet, somehow, this primitive planet had blocked their attacks effortlessly. "This is a mistake," General Volker muttered. "Earth is supposed to be weak. Their technology is centuries behind us." But the data didn't lie. Earth wasn't weak. Earth was prepared. Humanity's response. Before Zorvek could speak, another human broadcast interrupted their ship's communication channels. The same man from before appeared, now eating popcorn in front of the camera. Well, he said, smirking. "That's strike 3, aliens. Are you guys even trying?" The bridge was silent. Then, another human voice joined in. This time, a woman. "Hey aliens, if you're going to attack us, at least make it entertaining," she joked. "We've seen better CGI in our movies." Laughter. Human laughter. The Dominion War Council stared in horror. They had never heard laughter during an invasion before. Volker's voice was shaky. "Supreme Commander, I do not understand. Why are they laughing?" Zorvek's mind raced. His empire had conquered hundreds of planets. Every species they had faced had reacted with fear, terror, or surrender. But Earth was mocking them. The start of doubt. Zorvek turned to his officers. "Send in the ground troops," he ordered. "Let's see if they laugh when our soldiers march through their cities." General Volker hesitated. "Supreme Commander, should we not investigate further? What if?" Zorvek snarled. "Enough. No species has ever resisted the Dominion. Earth will fall like all the rest." But deep in his mind, a tiny voice whispered something unsettling. "What if we are wrong? What if Earth is stronger than we think? He pushed the thought aside. The order was given. The ground invasion had begun. The first human counterattack. A lesson in war. The Dominion invasion force descended upon Earth, confident in their victory. Hundreds of dropships roared through the skies, carrying thousands of elite Dominion shock troopers. Their orders were clear. Crush human resistance. Show them why no species defies the Galactic Dominion. Supreme Commander Zorvek watched from his warship, his red eyes filled with anger. "This planet mocks us," he growled. "Let's see if they still laugh when our soldiers march through their streets." On Earth, alarms blared as the alien dropships entered the atmosphere. Cities across the world prepared for battle. Governments activated emergency protocols. The military mobilized. But the people still weren't afraid. The invasion begins. The first Dominion dropships landed in a deserted city. General Volker stepped onto the cracked pavement, gripping his plasma rifle. His soldiers spread out, weapons ready. The city was silent. Too silent. "Something's wrong," Volker muttered. "Where are the humans?" Suddenly, a voice crackled through his communication device. It was human. "Welcome to Earth, invaders," the voice said, calm and confident. Volker spun around, scanning the empty streets. Then, the city lights shut off. The ground rumbled. From the shadows, drones appeared, thousands of them. Humanity's secret weapon. The Dominion expected to fight humans with guns and primitive tanks. Instead, they faced machines. Earth's armies weren't sending soldiers to fight. They were letting their eye-controlled war machines handle the invasion. The drones attacked with precision, their weapons cutting through Dominion forces like paper. Automated turrets rose from buildings, targeting alien soldiers before they could even react. Dominion troopers fell within seconds. "No, this isn't possible," Volker shouted. The humans weren't hiding. They weren't afraid. They were watching and laughing. The humiliation of the Dominion. On board the Doombringer, Zorvek watched in horror as his elite soldiers were wiped out without firing a single effective shot. He slammed his fist onto the control panel. This cannot be happening. The same human broadcaster appeared again on his screen. The man sipped coffee and smirked. "Hey, Supreme Commander Zorvek. I just wanted to say, nice try." Laughter echoed across the human networks. The invasion was a joke. The Dominion had never faced an enemy like this before. They had expected fear. They had expected surrender. They had expected an easy victory. But instead, they were being toyed with. The beginning of the end. On Earth, the eye-controlled defense systems continued their work. Not a single human soldier had been needed. The Dominion's forces were trapped, their weapons useless, their ships grounded. For the first time in his life, Zorvek felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The truth about humanity's strength. Supreme Commander Zorvek stood frozen, his claws gripping the armrests of his throne. His elite soldiers, the best warriors of the Dominion, had been defeated without a fight. Not by humans, by machines, by eye-controlled defenses that wiped out his forces effortlessly. This was not how invasions worked. This was not how the Dominion conquered worlds. Zorvek turned toward his war council. His generals looked just as shocked as he was. Fear was creeping into their eyes. What are these humans?" General Volker finally whispered. Before Zorvek could respond, a Dominion officer rushed forward. "Supreme Commander, a distress signal from our surviving ground troops. They've been captured." Zorvek's eyes burned with rage. Captured? The Dominion never suffered captures. Their warriors either won or died. This was beyond humiliation. It was a nightmare. Inside a human military base, the captured Dominion soldiers were taken to a human military facility. General Volker, one of the few survivors, sat in a cold metal chair, his wrists restrained by a strange energy field. Across from him sat a human officer, dressed in a clean uniform, sipping tea. The officer smiled. "Well, General, that didn't go the way you expected, did it?" Vokar snarled. "Your planet was supposed to be weak." The human raised an eyebrow. "Weak? Who told you that?" Vokar hesitated. "Our intelligence reports. They said Earth was divided, that your technology was primitive, that your species was fragile." The human chuckled. "Let me tell you something about humans, General." Vokar glared but stayed silent. The officer leaned forward, placing his cup down. "We are not fragile. We are survivors. We have fought wars among ourselves for thousands of years. We have destroyed entire civilizations on our own planet before we even reached space." Vokar's eyes widened slightly. The officer continued, his tone calm but dangerous. "We have survived plagues, disasters, and our own worst enemies, ourselves. We do not fear war. War is part of our history." Vokar felt a chill run down his spine. The human smiled again, but there was no kindness in it. "We didn't build our defenses to fight invaders, General. We built them because we expected one day someone like you would come." Vokar's mouth went dry. This wasn't a lucky victory. This was a trap. The Dominion had never stood a chance. Back on the Doombringer, Zorvek's growing fear. Zorvek watched the live feed from the captured Dominion troops. He could hear the human officer's words. And for the first time in his long reign as Supreme Commander, he understood why humans were laughing. This wasn't a war. This was a message. Earth had let the Dominion attack. Earth had let them land. Just to prove a point. Zorvek felt fear creeping into his bones. Had the Dominion just picked a fight with the most dangerous species in the galaxy? His war council looked at him, waiting for orders. For the first time, he had none. And the humans, they were still laughing. The psychological war, humanity's ultimate weapon. Supreme Commander Zorvek sat in his throne-like chair aboard the Doombringer, his mind racing. He had conquered hundreds of worlds. He had crushed countless civilizations. But now, for the first time, he was afraid. Not because of human weapons, not because of human technology, but because of human psychology. These creatures weren't just strong, they were playing with him. And the worst part, they were enjoying it. The Dominion's fear spreads. Aboard the Dominion warships, the crew whispered among themselves. The humans had stopped their invasion without even trying. Captured Dominion soldiers were being returned unharmed, but their minds were broken. The prisoners spoke of Earth's history, of wars so brutal that no alien species could comprehend them. They told of 2 world wars where humans had fought and killed millions of their own kind. They told of nuclear weapons capable of wiping out entire cities in seconds. They told of endless conflicts, of nations rising and falling, of empires collapsing, of humans thriving in war. And worst of all, they told of human laughter. The prisoners said that the humans laughed during war, that they mocked their enemies, that even in their darkest moments, humans found humor in destruction. The Dominion soldiers began to panic. Had they just declared war on the craziest species in the galaxy? Earth's psychological warfare begins. Meanwhile, the humans launched a new kind of attack. Not with missiles, not with lasers, but with words. Across the Dominion fleet's communication channels, human broadcasts hijacked their signals. The screens flickered. Then, a human face appeared, smiling. "Hey, aliens. So, how's that invasion going for ya?" The Dominion officers stared in horror. "Listen, we get it," the human continued. "You thought we'd be easy to conquer. But honestly, this has been fun for us. Really, best invasion ever." The human's tone was playful, mocking. Zorvek clenched his fists. "Shut it off," he barked. His officers scrambled, but they couldn't stop the transmission. Another screen lit up. More humans appeared. One was wearing sunglasses, eating popcorn. "Yo, guys, do you even know how many alien invasions we've survived in our movies? "This is nothing." Another human laughed. "Man, I expected more from an advanced empire. This is kinda disappointing." The Dominion officers trembled. Zorvek's rage boiled over. Enough. But then, another message appeared. This time, it wasn't a joke. It was a simple text, glowing on the screen. "Leave now, or we will stop laughing." The bridge of the Doombringer fell deathly silent. For the first time, the Dominion wondered, what happens when humans stop laughing? And none of them wanted to find out. Zorvek's breaking point. Zorvek rose from his seat, his claws trembling. "We must strike back," he whispered. "We must show them we are still stronger." But his officers didn't respond. They were staring at their screens, reading the data reports. The numbers were terrifying. Earth's true military power had been hidden. But now, Dominion spies had uncovered terrifying details. Human weapons were far beyond what the Dominion could handle. Their ships were smaller, but faster. Their soldiers were fewer, but deadlier. Their technology was centuries ahead of what the Dominion had believed. And worst of all, the humans weren't even using their real weapons yet. This entire invasion was a joke to them. Zorvek felt a cold chill crawl down his spine. Had he just doomed the Dominion? The beginning of the end. The humans sent one final message. A single sentence. "We suggest you leave while we're still in a good mood." For the first time in history, the Dominion considered surrendering. Zorvek stared at his screen. His empire had never lost a war. But this wasn't a war. This was a warning. And now he had to decide. Stay and fight, or retreat and survive. As human laughter echoed through the Dominion's communication channels, he realized he might not have a choice. The final battle. Humanity's unexpected move. Supreme Commander Zorvek stood at the center of the Doombringer's command bridge, his red eyes staring at the glowing message on the screen. "We suggest you leave while we're still in a good mood." The words haunted him. His once proud war fleet was in shambles. His ground forces had been annihilated without a single human casualty. His warriors, the fiercest in the galaxy, were terrified. And worst of all, the humans were still laughing. He had to make a decision, fight or flee. But before he could, Earth made the decision for him. The sky turns against the Dominion. Without warning, the stars above Earth shifted. A moment ago, the Dominion fleet had been alone in orbit, preparing for their next move. Now, they were surrounded. Stealth ships, thousands of them, appeared out of nowhere. Their hulls shimmered as they emerged from cloaked positions. Sleek, black warships that were faster, smaller, and far deadlier than anything in the Dominion's arsenal. Each one aimed directly at the Dominion fleet. Zorvek's breathing stopped. How? How did they get here? One of his officers stammered. Another voice whispered, "We never even detected them." A transmission crackled through their comms. The humans had sent one final message. Checkmate. Then, all hell broke loose. The destruction of the Dominion fleet. The human fleet did not fire first. They didn't need to, because the Dominion broke themselves. Panic spread across their warships. Some captains refused to engage, fearing what the humans were truly capable of. Some tried to flee, only to find their engines disabled by Earth's hacking systems. Others opened fire in blind desperation, only to hit their own ships in the chaos. Zorvek watched in horror as his once mighty fleet collapsed in front of him. The humans hadn't fired a single shot. And yet, they were already winning. The final conversation. The main screen on Zorvek's warship lit up. A human general appeared on the screen, sitting in a comfortable chair, casually drinking a cup of coffee. "Supreme Commander Zorvek," the man said, smiling. "I'd say nice try, but honestly, this was embarrassing." Zorvek's claws dug into his throne. His entire career, his reputation, his empire's dominance, shattered in a single battle. "You were to be conquered," he hissed. "You were supposed to be weak." The human general chuckled. See, that's the problem with you alien conqueror types. You never do your homework. He leaned forward, his expression turning serious. If you had studied human history, you would have known one thing. We don't lose wars. Zorvek's heart pounded. Now, the human continued, we have two options. You can surrender and leave, and we'll let you go home in one piece. He took a slow sip of his coffee. Or you can stay, and we'll show you what happens when humans actually start trying. Zorvek's fingers trembled. He didn't even need to think. We surrender, he said quietly. And for the first time in Dominion history, they retreated. The end of the invasion. As the Dominion fleet turned and fled, Earth's response was simple. They laughed. Across the world, memes flooded the internet. Easiest war ever. Did we even need the military for this? Someone should check if those aliens are okay. The greatest invasion fleet in galactic history had been utterly humiliated. And humanity. They never even broke a sweat. Zorvek's last thought. As the Doombringer sped away from Earth, Supreme Commander Zorvek sat alone in his chambers, staring at the cold metal floor. He had spent his entire life believing the Dominion was the most powerful force in the universe. But now he knew the truth. Earth, humanity. They were something else entirely. And deep inside, he feared that one day, the humans might come for them. The aftermath. The Dominion's humiliation. The greatest invasion in galactic Dominion history had ended in the worst way possible. Not in glory, not in conquest, but in absolute humiliation. The Dominion fleet, once unstoppable, now fled like frightened children, racing back to their homeworld, their tails between their legs. And behind them, across every human communication channel, Earth's response was the same. Laughter. The broken Dominion. Inside the Doombringer, Supreme Commander Zorvek sat alone in his chambers, his claws trembling. His entire fleet was broken, his soldiers demoralized, his reputation destroyed. Never before had the Dominion suffered a defeat like this. And worst of all, the humans didn't even try. Zorvek's generals sat in silence. No one dared to speak. Finally, one of them, General Volker, cleared his throat. Supreme Commander, what do we tell the High Council? Zorvek closed his eyes. The truth, that the mighty Dominion had been defeated by laughter. That humanity never even used their real military. That the Dominion's greatest warriors had surrendered to a species that treated war like a joke. He let out a slow, shaking breath. We tell them, Earth is a forbidden world. The Council would not be pleased. They would demand explanations. But Zorvek had none. He only had one final order. From this day forward, no Dominion fleet will ever approach Earth again. His officers exchanged glances. They did not argue. Because deep inside, they all knew the truth. Humanity was not to be messed with. Meanwhile, on Earth, as the Dominion fled, Earth continued what it did best, celebrating. The entire world had witnessed the first galactic war and laughed their way through it. Meme culture exploded. 10/10ths invasion attempt would repel again. Aliens traveled light years just to get clowned on. Earth, 1. Galactic Dominion, 0. World leaders made sarcastic speeches about defeating the great invaders. TV shows and comedians roasted the Dominion mercilessly. The war had lasted less than a day. And somehow, it had become one of the funniest moments in human history, the final message to the galaxy. As Earth's celebrations continued, one final message was sent out into the universe. A simple broadcast, traveling to every corner of the galaxy. A single, unspoken warning. If you come in peace, we welcome you. If you come in war, well, you saw what happened. The entire universe watched. And for the first time, the predators of the stars felt fear. Because they had just learned the most important lesson about humanity. Humans weren't just strong. They weren't just smart. They were something far, far worse. They were entertained. Humanity's message to the galaxy. The Galactic Dominion's war fleet was gone, defeated, humiliated, broken. Across the stars, the news spread like wildfire. The unstoppable conquerors had met their match, and it wasn't because of superior weapons. It wasn't because of advanced strategy. It was because humanity had laughed them out of the war. No one had ever seen anything like it. The Galactic Council's reaction. On the distant planet Vorla 7, home of the Interstellar Council, alien leaders from across the galaxy gathered in panic. The council chamber was filled with whispers and fear. The Dominion was defeated in a single day. A reptilian ambassador hissed. Not defeated, a cybernetic diplomat corrected. They were humiliated. An insectoid warlord clicked its mandibles. They say the humans never even used their real weapons, that they barely considered it a fight. A deep silence filled the chamber. One species had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Earth's final broadcast. While the galaxy panicked, humanity prepared their final message. The message would be sent across every known communication network, reaching every empire, every species, every warlord. A human appeared on screen, smiling. To the galaxy, he began. We understand that recent events have caused some concern. He sipped from a cup of coffee. We just like to say, we don't hold grudges. The Dominion tried, and hey, we respect the effort. The aliens watching did not believe that. The man leaned forward, his expression turning sharp. But let's make one thing very, very clear. The background behind him shifted to images of Earth's history, war after war, battle after battle. We are survivors. We are warriors. We have fought against enemies stronger than you, crueler than you, deadlier than you. And we won. The images change, showing Earth's nuclear weapons, advanced AI, space fleets in production. And that was when we were fighting each other. The entire galaxy held its breath. If you come in peace, the human continued, his smile returning. We welcome you. Trade, diplomacy, cooperation. We'd love that. Then his eyes darkened. But if you come in war, a single image appeared. The shattered remnants of the fleeing Dominion fleet. You saw what happened. He leaned back and grinned. Have a great day. The screen cut to black. The galaxy's response. Within hours, multiple warlike species declared Earth a no-conquer zone. The Dominion, once the most feared empire, was silent. Their once proud warriors avoided saying the word Earth at all. Some empires rushed to establish peaceful contact with humanity, offering alliances, trade deals, anything to avoid becoming the next joke. Meanwhile, in the dark corners of space, certain species whispered among themselves. If this was humanity when they were just laughing, what happens if humans ever get angry? Back on Earth, the war was over. But for humans, it was just another Tuesday. Social media continued to roast the aliens mercilessly. We speedran an alien war. First contact invasion. More like a first contact prank. Aliens showed up and got humbled in 24 hours. The world moved on. Movies were made, books were written. The Dominion's failure became legend. And as Earth scientists looked up at the stars, they knew this was just the beginning. Because one day, someone else would come. And when they did, humanity would be ready. But until then, they'd just keep laughing.